Welcome back to Midtown Comics TV. Mario and I are here to talk about Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker. We know that it's been on everybody's minds, and there's been a bit of a debate on how people feel about this movie. So fortunately for you, we have a couple different opinions here. The right opinion, which is mine, that the movie was absolutely amazing, and I'll let Mario talk about his...
The completely justified and also right opinion that the movie was garbage.
I don't know if I...
Straight trash.
Well, it's been the close of 9 movies. It's been a wild ride the whole way. So I'll start out and talk about the top 3 things I liked most about this movie. I'm going to pass it on to Mario, who's going to tell us the top 3 things maybe he didn't like about the movie. But to start it all off, I'm just going to ask for a basic rating. So on a scale of 1 to 12 parsecs, how did you feel about this movie?
I'll give it 3.5 parsecs.
Wow.
Because I think it doesn't actually achieve a culmination of 9 movies, in my opinion, but it did try. And I've talked to a lot of people about this. I don't know if I've said to you, but the day after that came out, I saw it the night it came out, I figured I was going to come in here to our offices here and just have a complete crap-on fest with everybody. And I was shocked to find out that I was the only one out of 6 to 7 people that I talked to that day that did not like it.
There were some people on the fence. I feel like most people were on the right side, the light side. But I feel like you were the only one that was like hardcore.
I was, definitely. I 100% was the only one that flat out hated it.
What should that tell you about your opinion?
I was also the only person that hated Logan, too, so I have odd movie opinions.
This is why I don't take movie suggestions from you. All right, so I will tell you first the top 3 things that I really liked about the movie. Number 1, quotable lines. My big issue with the episode 7 and 8 were that there were no fun lines in it. You kind of left the movie and you were like, that was kind of serious. In my mind, Star Wars is supposed to be fun and quotable. I mean, we literally quote Star Wars all day here.
True.
Even in our emails, it's all Star Wars all day. So there were a lot of really fun lines in this. The scene where they're like, Poe, you were a smuggler? And he was like, stormtrooper, thief. Okay, you know.
Yeah, I've admitted that interaction, that one interaction.
How about the one with the stormtroopers where she Jedi mind tricks the stormtroopers? He's like, "You're excited to see us." That was hysterical. I don't know.
I don't know about hysterical.
The theater I was in, we were all laughing out loud. So that's my number 1. That's what Star Wars needs. That's what it delivered.
Quotable lines.
Number 2, likable characters.
No.
Yes. Okay, so my big issue with, I'm sure you guys have heard, with episodes 7 and 8 is that I didn't care too much about most of the characters. I mean, I like Poe. I've always been a big Poe fan because he's the funny, casual, jokey guy. Big fan of that. But I didn't really feel invested in Rey or Finn or even Chewbacca or anybody really. Luke was great, but everyone else was kind of like. But my third thing is purpose. So my big issue with Force Awakens and Last Jedi is that I wasn't quite sure what the purpose was. Like, what are these characters? What are their goals? What are they trying to do? What is this story trying to say? What story is being told here other than sort of this mishmash of, we're a rebel conglomerate, part 2, against the Empire, part 2. Like, I didn't see anything fresh or new or exciting as far as what the story is or what they're trying to tell me. So finding out that Rey is a Palpatine reframed the entire story. Like, I feel like this trilogy will hold up really well because now that we know who she is, it's now a story about the 2 biggest baddies in the universe and their grandchildren. And their grandchildren both being these, like, gray area Jedi. Like, we're kind of good, we're kind of evil, and you see Kylo step more towards the evil side and Rey lean towards the light side, but both of them still stuck in the middle and sort of trying to bring each other to the other side. So reframing this as a story about the progeny of two of the most evil, cool dudes in the villains in the universe, and them trying to deal with where they come from and where they want to go.
So your number 3 is that they retconned things that happened in the other ones
I
to make it more interesting.
It's not that.
You just said reframe.
Think about it this way.
You said reframed.
Yes, but Empire Strikes Back reframes A New Hope, because A New Hope is a very simple story. It's good guys, bad guys, blow up the ship before the ship blows up everybody else. Okay, very simple. And then Empire Strikes Back reframes it about a story about, Darth Vader and, his son and him being torn with all these mistakes that he made before, finding out that he has a kid and wanting to team up with him. Like, hey, we can finally be buddies. Like, I'm not alone anymore. Let's, so that
I wouldn't call that
retconned,
In a way, yeah, it is. But I wouldn't call it reframing. I think it's more of an opening up of the story.
Really? Because in A New Hope, they tell Luke all these things. They tell the audience all these things about who Luke is and who his family is and where he comes from. And guess what? They're all lies. And they were retconned in Empire Strikes Back, which we can all agree is not only the best movie in that trilogy, but arguably the best Star Wars movie. So
overall,
I'm not opposed to retconning. I don't know why everybody's so like, why did you have to change it? It's Star Wars. That's what they do. It's about space samurai, okay? Using magic, okay?
It's about space lies.
With laser swords, okay? Space lies, okay? If you're looking for some deep philosophical plot out of the space samurai with laser swords, you've come to the wrong place. Star Wars should be an adventure. It should be quotable. It should be filled with likable characters. And it should have a broad, basic story that makes you want to be part of the good guys.
Definitely.
And that being
or
said...
Or part of the bad guys, because plenty of people...
weird Imperials out there. I don't get it.
Plenty of people side with, the dark side.
I know.
Let me see your identification.
You don't need to see my identification. Move along, okay? Move along. All right, so those are my top 3 things, and I will give Mario a chance to speak and make his case.
So, there's so much that I didn't like in this movie. Like, literally from moment 1 to the very end. There are many things that I disliked about this movie. But to pick out 3 specific things, I think I'm going to go 3 philosophical things about this. And number 1 is kind of to this entire sequel trilogy is the difference between showing and telling, and knowing when to show something and knowing when to tell something. And I think if you look at these 3 movies, the wrong tell is that they tell us everything that happened with these characters that we all knew in the original trilogy. Not necessarily that you need to make those characters the main focus of a sequel trilogy, but I think their story that they tell us with their small interactions with each other and with other characters, that's the more interesting story.
What do you mean, like Luke, Leia,
everything
and Han?
That happened between Luke, Leia, and Han, and Chewbacca. But not necessarily everything that happened between is the story, but I think the events leading up to where we are right now is the story that we should have been told in the very first movie, in Force Awakens. We should have seen the fall of that Jedi Academy. We should have seen Luke's fall to, I don't want to do this anymore. We should have seen Ben Solo get corrupted over.
Let's get that as a TV show. Okay, Disney's going to do that. They're saving it for that, just like they did with Clone Wars.
Which is, well, I think Clone Wars completely redeems the prequels. And if they put out some type of cartoon or show or something that redeems these things as well, then I'll take it. That's fine.
Enhances.
I
don't know if redeems is the correct.
In my eyes, it redeems it because I always say that the prequels gives you 3 snippets of a storyline, but they gave you the wrong snippets. And you don't have the proper context in episode 1 and 2 to understand what goes on in episode 3. You know it's going to get there, which is why you need the Clone Wars in between both of those to tell every bit of that story that's out there. And not that it's a cop-out, but I think that might have been done intentionally because one person oversaw what was going on there and what was going to happen. I think with these, you don't necessarily have an overarching directive of what should be done or where we should go. So that's number one, the difference between show and tell, and knowing when to show something and when to tell us something. Number two is I totally would have been fine with Chewbacca dying at Rey's hands. I 100% would have been fine with that. When that happened, I
just want to kill them all. This is why we
wanna
sat you on the
everybody.
Imperial side.
You want to smack everybody in that scene, because as you watch that scene, and maybe I missed something, maybe I'll have to go back and watch it again one day, but I am fairly certain that Finn saw that there were two transports, and that Finn was watching them put Chewbacca on a transport, and Finn knew which transport Chewbacca was on.
I would like to point out that the reason that they wiped out all of the canon from the old EU books is because they killed Chewbacca.
Yeah.
So props on them for not making the same mistake, because it angered people in the books, and I think they knew that it would anger people.
When that happened in the books, I had a friend who was reading them avidly at the time, and I remember
I was
him.
like 10. I threw the book across the room. I was
I'm
like,
a little older.
I was so angry.
I'm slightly older, so we were more mature adults. We were able to deal with it better. But I remember him telling me that he cried when Chewbacca died in that book.
Yeah, it's sad.
But his death meant something.
Actually, it
died,
didn't.
Didn't he die protecting Anakin Solo?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. He gave his life to save Anakin Solo as a moon was being pulled into a planet to destroy the planet. And then, literally 2 books later,
That was wrong.
Anakin Solo dies. So it was really for nothing.
Then.
It was really for nothing.
I remember him thoroughly enjoying those books and telling me about it, and also telling me when Chewbacca died, and you know, it actually, I think it drew him a little bit more into the book, because there were finally stakes, and one of the main characters had died.
They killed everyone in that. They killed Jason Solo. They killed Anakin Solo. They killed Mara Jade. They killed everyone. It was terrible. Save yourself you should be glad
yourself
that
the heartache.
at least that arc has been wiped from canon. So.
All right, my third dislike is the entire situation with Palpatine. I think, again, the difference between show and tell. It's you're barely told what it is. You're hardly shown what is going on, because those scenes are dark as hell. You cannot make out half of the things that are going on in those scenes. They're shot so darkly. For somebody who's known for his lens flares and his lighting errors, like, come on.
Okay, that is ironic. I didn't think about that, but I'll give you that one.
I think that, not even so that how they did Palpatine, but the idea that they did not think that everybody watching was smart enough to be told or shown how this was all going on. If you go back and watch the Clone Wars and watch Rebels and everything, you understand that the Sith is kind of like what they said about Mandalorian and the Mandalorian. It's a creed, not a race. So there's so many people using dark side powers. There's so many people that are like Sith occultists and stuff like that, that you could have actually given us a subplot of that, shown us a subplot of that, not just let us assume that that subplot is there.
All right, so I'm going to give Mario a chance here to try and make his case and convince me why I'm wrong. I'm sure he'll be wrong, but you know, I'd like to give you the opportunity. That's pretty cool.
All right, so again, my main contention is what they showed us and what they told us. I did not like that they just flat out say the dead speak again. Like, again, why can't you show me that the entire galaxy has now heard what's going on?
They did in a video game.
Yeah, in a video game. In a video game. So who's your audience here? Is the audience...
Not you, clearly.
What the problem is that the audience is never... It's never been directed towards the proper audience. And I think the proper audience is everybody who loves Star Wars. And what they've done here is that they've left such an open, wide gap between Jedi and the present day that they can now evaluate everything we did or didn't like and try to do it right in between there, which is what we got with Clone Wars. I don't think that's the right outset and mindset to go into this with.
So let me ask you this question, because Force Awakens poses a lot of questions. Last Jedi
ignores all of those questions
and leaves and poses no new ones, right? So
no.
What?
But I'll say that the Last Jedi opened up the idea of what the rest of the story could be. there was if there's no plan after Last Jedi, let's take this into theory land. If they really had no plan after Last Jedi and had some other idea of what they were going to do after Last Jedi, they read that guy's script, they read Rian Johnson's script and said, go ahead, yes, film this. So there's no way impossible that I will ever accept them to say that, oh no, he did everything on his own and he made those changes and those choices. I don't agree with what they did with Luke, but I understand it.
Okay, well,
I just don't understand anything that they did in Rise of Skywalker. I don't understand the logic behind any of that. And if it was all just to make Carrie Fisher's scenes fit in properly, I say that I would have been, as a fan, I would have been fine if they had let her die off screen and did an actual good story in this. I think we all would have accepted and we all would have understood why that was a necessity, because the poor woman passed away after filming.
Space Mom.
Space Mom is gone. Space Mama gone.
What would you, if you didn't like the plot of Rise of Skywalker, excuse me, what would your ideal, what other, like, give me your plot. What could have made it good in your mind? Because
my plot is, okay, so the whole idea of the Empire is that they were led by the two most powerful people in the galaxy.
Right.
Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader. So once that falls and you've lost your main things of power, the only way to get a good footing is to find somebody else who has that power. So if now Kylo Ren has come along and he's the one that they have, that Snoke built up as he's as strong as Vader, he's got the Force, he's in the dark side, everybody is going to be like, all right, yeah, this is our guy. What you can do there is show that aspect of it. Show the aspect of this is what I mean to these people.
It's closing out 9 movies.
You can do that still.
Okay?
You can do that still. You can do that without bringing back the Emperor.
But the point, okay, you can't.
Yes,
Because
you
the whole
can.
point...
Sith occultists.
If you
bring back some Night Sisters. You've
you-
got all of Dathomir, where it's a planet.
would love that.
Right? That would be awesome. That would have been awesome.
But I want that to be a side story. I don't want that to
No.
be the main... I don't want Rey, Finn, and
that's
Poe
the
dealing
problem.
with Night Sisters.
No, that's the problem, because you did not actually culminate all of the history of everything that went on
Think
in
about
here.
it. The first 3 movies are about an evil mastermind, right? This Senator Palpatine, who has this deep plot, right? He can see everything. He's the puppet master. Okay.
I need to hold a thought that I just had.
Okay, yeah. Hold that. If he's the puppet master, and that's what the prequels are there to show us, right? And then we have the original trilogy, which is about how Palpatine's a puppet master and how he has this whole plan that nobody can stop. Then if you're closing out 9 movies and closing out this broad story, it has to involve him.
Okay. But that's if you view the prequels as that. If you view the prequels as not the rise of Palpatine, but the fall of the Jedi Order. Now, here's this group that were finding young kids that had high midichlorian counts, taking them from their
Use the M word.
homes.
We're
Hold
not
on.
allowed to use the M word.
You were finding these kids who were strong in the Force. You were taking them from their homes and you're training them to be Jedi. What was the First Order doing? Finding kids out of their homes, taking them and training them to be stormtroopers. You could twist that. If you twist that, then you have, okay, you've got this order that was picking up kids and training them to be something, and now you have this order that is picking up kids and training them to be something, and in the middle you've got the battle between what was good and what was bad. So you can expand upon what the First Order was actually doing.
You're trying to compare stormtroopers and Jedi.
I'm just
Not
saying
even the same thing.
the process
That's
of
like
recruiting them is
that's
the
like
same.
saying Harvard University and going to college is the same thing as joining the military. Those are 2 different, like, one of these.
Well, but
you know what I mean?
they're not. But they're both finding kids. They're both stealing kids from homes. I think you could have done a better juxtaposition between what was going on now and everything that had come before it. And also, we're smarter as fans. We've watched the Clone Wars. We've watched Rebels, or at least I started to watch Rebels, which is a great show. We're all in on Mandalorian. We
are
know
so all in
come
on
now.
Mandalorian.
All in on Mandalorian. That was almost planned, but it wasn't. It sounded like it. Retcon. It was planned.
Yeah, totally planned.
I forget what my thought was.
Excellent. So that means you're conceding that I'm right.
No, I'm not. No, we're smarter as fans. We know more. We've read expanded universe stuff. You know, people can pick out the things in these sequel trilogies that were stolen out of the expanded universe. Not stolen, but you know what I mean. And I think if you had a more tying together of everything that we have seen, you know, people want to see characters like, that was the one thing I really didn't like.
What?
No Force ghosts.
Why do you want Force ghosts?
You need to see those people. We saw all the dead Sith. Why couldn't we see all the Force
you didn't
ghosts?
Even see the Sith faces.
No, because it was lighted horribly. It was too dark.
I don't know, man. I liked it better as voices because I thought it would be too... I mean, not everybody can become a Force ghost. So
That's true, too.
You're limiting who you can show in that scene.
Well, again... As a smarter person who has watched Clone Wars, and I don't know if we said up top, but spoilers for absolutely everything Star Wars. The final 3 did you watch Clone Wars? You finished Clone Wars, right? No. Okay, so the final 3 episodes of Clone Wars before this new season that's coming out
but I know
on
about
Disney
it.
Plus.
They learn how to.
Yoda is told has been chosen because Qui-Gon is just a voice. He's not a Force ghost. They allowed the Force allows him to be a voice to speak to Yoda, and Yoda has been chosen as the first person to learn 100% how to become a Force ghost, which is why he in turn teaches that to Obi-Wan. So
Obi-Wan
theoretically, the only people that would have been trained to be Force ghosts are Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Luke.
So where do you think this ranks in the pantheon of Star Wars movies?
So from
dead
top,
last?
I'm gonna go from top to bottom. And it's 9 movies.
Well, okay, all right.
Right? Okay, so obviously Empire is number 1.
We can both
agree on that. I would go Star Wars for 2. Original, Episode 4. Original recipe, Star Wars, A New Hope.
Okay. Original recipe. Yeah, I like that.
Return of the
Extra
Jedi.
Crispy.
Return of the Jedi. Revenge of the Sith. I think I'm going to put Last Jedi at 5.
Okay.
Then go Phantom Menace, Force Awakens, Rise of Skywalker, and then Attack of the Clones.
Okay, so at least it's better than the
it's better than
garbage,
the worst.
Yeah,
that's
hot flaming garbage pile.
Yeah, I mean, out of all of them, the one I actually fast forwarded through half of it was Attack of the Clones.
Dude, that movie's so bad.
Because I recently rewatched all of them.
Unforgivably bad.
But it's redeemed in the fact that it necessitated the 6 to 7 seasons of Clone Wars that we have, which are some of the best cartoons and TV that I've ever watched.
Deep. Yeah, where would I rank this? I feel like this would be right on par with like Return of the Jedi. So, you know, like somewhere, like it would be Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
What would I do? I guess A New Hope as well. Last Jedi.
Okay.
Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Prequels are all just on the other hand.
Yeah. Prequels are garbage. And
Prequels and Force Awakens you have on the second hand.
Yeah. I like, I didn't like Force Awakens at all.
It just, it didn't really serve as...
anything. It didn't do anything. It didn't do anything.
It was, you can just smell soft reboot off of it. There was nothing new about it. It was literally just A New Hope retold with different people.
I will always applaud and appreciate risk-taking with storytelling, which I feel like Phantom Menace took risks.
I was just going to say.
Last Jedi took risks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, were they the best movies in the world? Maybe not.
No,
but did they try to offer something new to Star Wars fans?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
We get... I like the idea that the prequels gave us that Palpatine facilitated and created Anakin Skywalker by manipulating the midichlorians. So I like that that's officially canon now. And that...
Is it?
Yeah.
I think that they rolled back on that.
Really? It was in a comic.
Oh.
So it's...
interesting.
It was kind of outlined.
All right.
Well, fans, you'll have to look this up for us and tell us whether we're right or wrong.
Do we know what we're talking about?
Do we?
No.
I'm dressed like Chewbacca. I mean, that's pretty convincing, you know. I've got Bossk earrings on, like.
This is my own personal shirt.
Trust me.
This was actually a birthday gift from my daughter. So
Oh, that's
people know I'm the Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars. I've loved Star Wars since the first time I saw it when I was a kid. Movies like Empire Strike Back, it makes me want to make my own stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I think in growing up as a kid with just those 3 movies, we all made our own stories with our action figures. We all decided, you know, there were other tales to be told outside of what was told there.
So many great Star Wars books. There are so many great.
There's so many
if you
great
guys
Star Wars
have
books.
not read them, guys, I'll give you a top 3 Star Wars extended universe. Even though they're not part of canon anymore, go out and read them. I'd go with True Sipakora, Courtship of Princess Leia, and the Thrawn trilogy.
Oh, I would go with.
Thrawn trilogy is so good.
I would definitely go with Shadows of the Empire. That's my favorite in between story.
Prince Caesar. He's your man.
Caesar is my
That's
man.
cool.
He puts out pheromones to make Leia kind of fall in love with him. Does it work?
Yeah, but Courtship of Princess Leia takes place on Dathomir with the Night Sisters, and they ride
never
rankers.
read that.
They ride rankers, and one of them is the only person to defeat Luke Skywalker in a duel. Tennille Joe
Interesting.
is a witch of Dathomir, and she kicks Luke's butt in a duel and then claims him. She's like, I own you now.
Well, anybody who's played Jedi Fallen Order knows those Night Brothers are not to be messed with.
Yeah. They're super cool. All right, so I know you hated most things about this movie. Can you just tell me one maybe shining moment that you actually really liked? One scene, one concept, something that you were like, okay, this is great, and they nailed it.
Oof. The very brief little scene between Luke and Leia fighting during
yeah,
their
that was
Jedi
really
training.
great. That was really great.
I didn't necessarily like the idea of her just giving up after that and saying, "Oh no, my son's going to turn one day, and I'm not going to do it anymore." I like that because it showed us that they do kind of know what we want to see as fans of the original trilogy. That we did want to see scenes between our favorite characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little fan service moment.
That's the one redeeming light in that movie for me.
I have. I don't know if I can pick maybe one moment that I didn't like. There were a couple things.
You have to give us one moment you did not like.
I thought the end, Rey Skywalker. I thought that was weird. Especially,
It was out of place.
Especially since you have that kiss between, and you're like, oh, so you're gonna like?
And she was so into Han Solo in Force Awakens. It was a
little weird. And I know everybody agrees with me. Disagrees with me on this, but the moment where she picks up both lightsabers and does the X to block it, and she's like, "I am the Jedi." I thought that was so cheesy. Like there was a moment in me that cringed a little bit.
And if she had a ton of Force ghosts behind her, I think that would have had more power to it.
Maybe, but probably not. I just thought it was cheesy. It was cheesy, and like I can deal with some Star Wars cheese, so I don't think it diminished the movie.
Oh wait, no, I know my most hated moment outside of that. Chewbacca's medal.
Okay,
that was so stupid.
That was a little.
That was so dumb.
Pointless.
That was pointless. That was 100% pointless. And I'm gonna wrap this up by saying, the takeaway from this movie is, you can do fan service. You look at Endgame. Endgame was 2.5 hours of fan service. Okay, of everything that had come before it. This movie tried.
That is why it failed.
It doesn't fail.
It wasn't as good as Infinity War.
It was not as good. Well, because it's not supposed to be a standalone movie. Infinity War you can watch as a standalone movie. You know, it serves to complete that and also cap off 22 films. So
what's the difference between that and this?
This doesn't properly cap off all the films before it.
I disagree.
That's how I feel. And to give Chewbacca a medal is the 100% most insulting fan service in the entire movie. To literally be like, all right, it's the end of the movie. Here you go, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this. That's the symbolism of giving him that medal.
I'm going to give you a medal at the end of this. Really, here you go.
I will not take it.
You did great. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Unless Maz Kanata's number was on the back of it. You know?
Yeah,
Hey, Chewie.
you're
Chewie, here you
into,
go. Here you go, Chewie.
You're into Chewbacca. Is that what it is? You just wanted him to die and get no medal. That's
When
cool.
she blew it up, I was like, that's great. It's stupid, but it's great. I love it.
What, you didn't like her Force lightning?
It was so, yes, but like,
So
again,
cool.
like, you could have done that in a much better way. And actually killing Chewie. Maybe then, she's got to worry about something. She actually is conflicted about using her Jedi powers rather than, I stabbed Ben but brought him back to life, you know?
Right.
So.
Okay, last question. What color lightsaber would you have?
Oh, me? I actually just had the opportunity to choose what color lightsaber I wanted in Jedi Fallen Order. I finally got to that point where I got my own personal kyber crystal, and I went with purple.
Ooh,
Yep.
purple's a good choice.
Yep.
Purple. I would go with teal.
Nice.
I would want a teal one. For those of you who remember, there was a character, my favorite character, had a teal lightsaber in the books. I'm sure we'll get comments. Who was it? Go read the books. You can find out who had a teal lightsaber.
Do some reading.
Yeah, right? Pick them up. So that's all we have for you guys.
Cool.
Leave your questions, comments below. Let us know what you thought of the last movie.
Everybody who agrees with me, please get it in there, you know, because
The two people in the world who will agree with you.
this movie was garbage.
It's not
Garbage, trash. Logan was trash. And
This movie was amazing, and there was no other way that they could have tied up this 9-movie trilogy. Thank you for making Rey a Palpatine and doing in this Star Wars fashion by retconning things to make it work.
Thank you for picking one of the 25,000 fan theories that people came up with, which one of the first one was that Rey was a Palpatine because of the way she jabbed her lightsaber.
Well, see, they put thought
I
into
would have
that,
preferred if
okay?
she was a clone, and the end of this movie was Kylo Ren slicing through thousands of Reys.
Oh, that would have been... All right, that would have been cool. I mean, I like it as it is, but that would have been cool. All right, guys.
There's another one.
Make
There's
sure you
another
follow us. You can get all of these great videos. You can see me and Mario just being weirdos all the time. All of these items are also available. They're pulled from our eBay store collection. So if you're looking for really cool, old school Star Wars memorabilia, check out our eBay page as well.
Midtown Comics on eBay.
And
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Always leave comments below. Let us know what you want to see. And, let us know whether you like this garbage movie or not.
yeah,
Garbage movie.
we know you loved it.